Hey, everybody. Ready to dive into a topic that always seems to get people talking?
Hmm. I wonder what it could be.
Well, today it's all about cheating.
Ah, that's a good one. Lots to unpack there.
You bet. And we're going way beyond the basics today. We're talking about way more than just the physical stuff.
Oh, so we're getting into the nitty-gritty.
You got it. We've got this article from marriage.com called, get this, 10 Common Types of Cheating in a Relationship and How to Deal.
Ooh, that's juicy. 10 types.
10 types. And I got to tell you, some of these might really surprise you.
I'm intrigued already. So,
Yeah.
beyond the obvious, where do we even begin to define cheating?
Right. Well, the article starts off with, laying the groundwork. It defines cheating as a breach of trust, where one partner engages in behavior that is emotionally, romantically, or sexually intimate with someone outside the committed relationship.
A breach of trust, huh? That really hits at the heart of it, doesn't it?
Totally. I mean, it's about breaking those agreements and expectations, the ones you have in your relationship.
Yeah. Expectations.
Yeah.
That's such a key piece of this whole puzzle. Because those expectations, they can be so different from one couple to the next.
Exactly. So something that feels like a total betrayal to one person, to another person, it might not even register with.
You got it. And that's why this whole defining cheating thing is so important. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. What matters is what you and your partner agree on.
Right. So it's like, have those conversations. Figure out what cheating means to you in your own relationship.
Couldn't agree more. Open and honest communication is absolutely key here. If you're not on the same page about what crosses the line, well, that's just asking for trouble down the road.
100%. So, okay, with that definition in mind, let's dive into these 10 types of cheating.
I'm ready. Hit me with number one.
Okay, so we'll start with the most obvious one. Sexual cheating.
Hmm.
Being physically intimate with someone other than your partner.
Yeah, that's the classic definition, the one everyone thinks of first.
Right. But even here, the article makes a good point. Like, if there's a sudden decrease in your sex life with your partner, it could be a sign that something's up.
Interesting. Not always a red flag, of course. There could be lots of reasons for changes in intimacy, but definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah, definitely got to look at the whole picture, right? See if there are other things going on too.
For sure. Okay, so what's next on this list of 10 types?
All right, moving on from the physical realm, we've got online affairs. I feel like this is super relevant these days, right?
Absolutely. With everyone glued to their phones, the lines can get blurry.
Totally. And even without any actual physical contact, these online relationships, they can be incredibly damaging.
The article makes that point really clear. Developing a strong emotional connection with someone online, even a sexual one, can be just as devastating as a physical affair.
And it's interesting because with some of these online things, you might never even meet the person face to face.
Right. It's like this whole other world, a fantasy world that can be super tempting and really hard to resist.
Okay, ready for number 3? This one might surprise some folks. It's financial infidelity.
Whoa, hold on. What's that all about?
Okay, so it's not like, oops, I forgot to tell you about that latte I bought. We're talking about like hiding money, lying about your spending habits,
Yeah.
basically keeping financial secrets from your partner.
Ooh, okay. I see why that would be considered cheating. It's all about secrecy, right? Like you're breaking your partner's trust in a really fundamental way.
Right. It shakes the foundation of the relationship, that's for sure.
Imagine like finding out your partner has this whole secret credit card with tons of debt on it.
Oh, that would be awful. And like you said, it's not even just about the money itself. It's about the lack of honesty and transparency.
Right, right. Makes it impossible to plan for the future together.
Okay, let's move on to number 4. Emotional cheating. This one gets a little fuzzy, don't you think? Because it's not about physical actions. It's more about where is your emotional energy going?
You nailed it. It's like you're becoming emotionally attached to someone else, confiding in them, turning to them for support instead of your partner.
We all need someone to talk to, right? So where do you draw the line?
It's about where you put your energy, right? If you constantly turn to this other person for your emotional needs, that's creating distance in your actual relationship.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like you're building intimacy with this other person instead of with your partner.
Exactly. Like brick by brick, you know?
Okay, so that one might hit close to home for some people.
Maybe, but it really highlights how important it is to communicate with your partner, make sure they feel heard and supported.
Okay, number 5 on the list. Get ready for this one. It's fantasizing about someone else.
Hmm. Can that really be cheating?
Well, according to the article, even this can cross the line if it becomes excessive. Like if you're constantly daydreaming about this other person to the point where you're basically emotionally checked out of your real relationship.
So not just a fleeting thought here and there, but like full-on obsession.
Yeah, like it takes you away from your partner and your life together.
Right. Makes sense. It's about being honest with yourself. Are these fantasies just harmless, or is it a sign that something's missing in your relationship?
That's a good question. And actually kind of leads us to the next type, number 6, physical intimacy without sex.
So we're talking about the age-old question, is kissing cheating?
Exactly. And again, the article emphasizes that it really depends on the boundaries within the relationship.
Even without going all the way, being physical with someone else can be incredibly hurtful, you know?
It's like that violation of trust. But what's okay in one relationship might be totally off limits in another.
Right. So talk to your partner and make sure you're on the same page about what's okay and what's not.
Good advice. All right, on to number 7, and this is another big one. Having romantic feelings for someone else.
The classic dilemma. Is having feelings cheating in itself?
Well, the article makes a really good distinction here. It says that just having feelings, that's not inherently cheating. You can't always control who you're attracted to, right?
You can't help who you have a crush on.
Right. But it's what you do with those feelings. Like, if you act on them secretly, if you're pursuing this connection behind your partner's back, well, that's where the betrayal comes in.
Exactly. It's about honesty. If you find yourself developing feelings for someone else, be honest with yourself about it, and then make a conscious choice about how you want to handle it.
So, talk to your partner if you're feeling confused or conflicted.
Always a good idea.
Okay, number 8. This one might catch you off guard. Pouring all your time and energy into a hobby.
Wait, what? How can a hobby be cheating?
Well, think about it. It's not that hobbies are bad, but it's about balance, you know? If you're spending every free moment on your hobby and you're completely neglecting your partner.
Oh, I see. Like you're emotionally investing in something else and your relationship is taking a back seat.
Exactly. So it can create this feeling of being neglected and unappreciated.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's all about remembering your partner's needs and making sure you're giving your relationship the time and attention it deserves.
Right. Everything in moderation, as they say.
Okay, 2 more to go. Number 9 is what they call micro-cheating.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. What's micro-cheating?
It's all about those seemingly little things, but they can add up to a big betrayal over time, like constantly flirting with other people, or maybe you're always stalking your ex on social media.
I guess those things can chip away at trust, can't they? Like death by 1,000 cuts, as they say.
Exactly. That's exactly how the article describes it. Each little thing might not seem like a big deal on its own, but the overall effect can be devastating.
Being mindful of those little things, that's key.
All right, we made it. Number 10. This one is called commemorative fidelity. It's a bit more complex than the others.
Commemorative fidelity? I've never even heard of that.
Basically, it's like you stay in the relationship, but maybe it's out of obligation, maybe because of shared history or kids or financial reasons.
So you're physically there, but emotionally checked out?
Yep. And you might even be looking for love and connection somewhere else.
Wow. Sounds like a recipe for unhappiness all around.
Definitely a tricky situation to navigate.
So many layers to unpack there.
Well, there you have it. The 10 types of cheating, according to marriage.com.
It's amazing how much variety there is. It really gets you thinking about what trust and betrayal really mean.
And it seems like that's the common thread here, right? Broken trust and unmet needs.
Yeah, it's not always about finding something better, Sometimes it's about trying to fill a void or seeking validation or even just trying to regain a sense of control.
So I'm guessing there are no easy answers when it comes to dealing with these situations.
You're absolutely right. But you know what? The article actually offers some pretty solid advice on how to navigate this whole experience of dealing with cheating. It's interesting, right? We tend to focus so much on the actual act of cheating.
Yeah.
But the really hard part, it's what happens afterwards. Picking up the pieces and how do you even begin to move on after that kind of betrayal?
It's like your whole world just implodes. So
Yeah.
What do you do? Where do you even start?
Well, the article has some good advice. It talks about open communication, seeking professional help, setting boundaries, and then, self-care and really thinking about the future of the relationship.
Those are all good steps. But let's break it down a bit. What does open communication even look like when you're dealing with something as intense as infidelity?
It's about creating a safe space, where both partners can truly be honest with each other. Say what they're thinking and feeling without being judged.
Easier said than done, I bet. Especially when everything is so raw and emotions are running high.
You're telling me it takes a lot of courage and a willingness to really listen to your partner, even if it hurts. That's why the article talks about seeking professional help, too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Having a neutral person there to kind of like guide the conversation
Right. A therapist can help both partners process everything that's happened, work through those complex issues that might have led to the infidelity in the first place.
and help them rebuild trust if that's what they both want. Speaking of rebuilding trust, the article also mentions setting boundaries. What kind of boundaries are we talking about here?
Well, after something like this happens, you need those clear boundaries, to feel safe and protected, like maybe limiting contact with the person involved in the affair, or being completely transparent about schedules and who you're talking to.
Oh, okay. So it's all about rebuilding trust, like one step at a time.
Yeah, exactly. With clear expectations and actions.
And a lot of forgiveness, I imagine, for both people involved.
Oh, absolutely. Forgiveness is a huge part of the healing process. But it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
The article also talks about self-care. Why is that so important, especially when you're dealing with all the emotional fallout of infidelity?
It's easy to lose yourself in all of that pain and hurt, to forget that you deserve care and compassion too.
So it's not selfish to focus on yourself during this time.
Not at all. It's actually essential. Doing things you enjoy, being around supportive people, taking care of your mental and physical health, all of that is super important for moving forward.
Because you can't help anyone else if you're completely drained yourself. Right?
Exactly. Taking care of yourself gives you the strength to show up for yourself and for your relationship, whether you decide to work things out or to walk away.
And that brings us to the final point that the article makes, reflecting on the future of the relationship.
And this is the toughest part, right? Taking a long, hard look at things and asking yourself some really difficult questions like, can we rebuild trust? Do we both want to do the work? Are the things that led to the cheating even fixable?
Oh, man, heavy stuff. And I bet there's no easy answer.
Definitely not. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's about what feels right for each person. Some couples might find that they can work through it and come out stronger. Others might decide it's time to go their separate ways.
So it's about knowing yourself, what you need, and what you truly want.
Yeah. It's about honoring yourself and making choices that align with your values and what you envision for your future.
This whole conversation has been really eye-opening. Cheating is way more complicated than people think. It's not always black and white, right?
It's messy. It's emotions and unmet needs and broken trust all tangled together.
It's a wake-up call, a chance to look at your relationship and decide what you want to do.
And hopefully to remember that communication, honesty, and respect, those are the building blocks of any healthy relationship.
So true. And it's never too late to start talking.
Oh.
So much to think about, right? Like when you're facing that decision, stay or go after infidelity, what are some of the things people should be considering?
It's a huge decision and
Yeah.
so personal, no easy answers there. But I think one of the first things is how does the person who cheated, how do they react? Are they truly sorry?
Yeah, that makes sense. If they don't even seem to care, it's hard to imagine things ever getting better.
Exactly. And it's not just about saying, I'm sorry. It's got to be more than that, right? They need to show they're willing to take responsibility, to actually change their behavior.
So it's not just on the person who was cheated on to fix everything.
Right. It takes two. Both people have to put in the effort, be willing to have those tough conversations, and really make a choice to heal and move forward together.
Thinking back to all those different types of cheating, do you think some are easier to recover from than others?
That's a good question. I think it depends on so many things. The people involved, the situation, the relationship itself, like what might be a total deal breaker for one couple, another couple might be able to work through it.
So different things for different people.
Exactly. It's not about comparing, It's about figuring out what your values are, what your boundaries are, and what you need to feel safe and loved.
And I guess it's important to remember that healing takes time, right?
Oh.
No matter what the situation is.
Oh, for sure. And it's not always a straight line.
Yeah.
There are going to be ups and downs. Some days will be filled with anger and hurt, and other days will be filled with hope and forgiveness. It's a process.
Sounds like an emotional roller coaster. And I bet it's tempting to just try to bury those feelings and move on as fast as possible.
Oh, I know. It's natural to want to avoid pain. But those feelings, they have a way of coming back to haunt you.
Yeah, if you don't deal with them.
Right. It's much better to create a safe space to process those feelings, maybe through journaling or therapy or talking to someone you trust.
It's like they say, the only way out is through.
Exactly. Acknowledge the pain. Let yourself grieve. It's okay to feel those things.
One thing that's really stood out to me is how much you've emphasized self-awareness in communication.
They're so important, not just for dealing with infidelity, but for any healthy relationship. It's about knowing yourself, knowing what you need, being able to communicate that to your partner, and creating a space where you both feel respected and understood.
So whether you're trying to avoid cheating altogether or you're trying to heal from it, it all comes back to communication and self-awareness.
It really does. It's about building a relationship based on honesty and trust, and a willingness to be vulnerable with each other.
This has been an amazing conversation. We've learned so much about the complexities of cheating, from understanding the different types to exploring the healing process.
Yeah, it's been a real journey, and hopefully our listeners have found it valuable too.
To all our listeners out there, remember, if you've been affected by infidelity, you're not alone. There is help available, and healing is possible.
And remember what we always say, keep those conversations going. Open communication, that's the key to building strong, healthy relationships.
Yeah,
And it's never too late to start talking.
couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us today on this deep dive into the world of cheating.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, as always, stay curious and keep exploring.